Hey, what's up people? Hardleg Joe here with the profile for Fridge Turbo, a blind second OTK deck built around the Scrap archetype. Using their newest card, Scrap Raptor, we can easily swarm the field with big beefy fridges that give our opponents the cold shoulder. Yeah, it's gonna be one of those kind of episodes. Going over our deck list, we're playing 3 of the Beastmasters, TM, 3 Fridges, 2 Street Shark, a miscellaneous dinosaur, a Junkyard Dog, a different Junkyard Dog, 3 Thunder Cougar Falcon Bird, 3 Scraptor, TM, 3 Window Ghost, a pile of explosive, and 3 of the Turbo buttons. For spells, we're playing 3 Scrap Rhoda, the Death button, 3 Dino Rhoda, 1 Field Spell Rhoda, 3 Upstart Goblin for scraps, and 3 references to the end of Terminator 2. Our extra deck contains 1 each of Gotham's, Phil and Lil, a Crocagator, Herald to the True King, Randy Savage, Tommy Pickles, the Spell Eater TM, the True King, a rank 5, a rank 4, the OTK machine, the Negate machine, Mustard, Ketchup, and Chucky Finster. The side deck I'll go over at the end because it's not a real side deck, but instead just a bunch of alternative ideas I wanted to mention if I have the time. For now though, let's go over the core of the deck, which is Scrap Raptor. It's just Scrap Raptor. This card is nutty. Not only is it a level 4 tuner, which makes it great for synchro summons, but it's got 2 effects. First, you can destroy 1 monster you control and gain a second normal summon, as long as it's a scrap monster. Its second effect is if it's destroyed by the effect of a scrap card, you can search Scrap Factory or any other non-tuner scrap monster. These effects are not exclusive, meaning you can normal summon it, use its effect to destroy itself, and then not only search a scrap monster, but gain another normal summon so you can summon it. This, just on its own, leads into a combo where you summon 7 times, pop a card your opponent controls, and end on either Scrap Wyvern and a level 9 Synchro, or a Link 4 of your choice. Open with Gator and either the Field Spell or Scrap Chimera, and you can expand that combo to include another level 9 Synchro. And what do you know, 2 level 9s makes it really easy to make VFD. Normally I try to stay away from True King combos because I think this is an unfair card that's going to be on the ban list soon. But I made an exception for this deck because of just how dismal its first turn plays are. Because you see, your combo actually requires you to destroy a card on the field. So when you're going first, and your opponent doesn't have anything, then you must pop your own shit, which you don't really want to do that late in the combo. That's why I designed this deck around going second, so we could take advantage of that mandatory destruction rather than having to play around it. Of course, we don't always win the die roll, and if someone forces us to go first, then I don't feel bad about making their job as difficult as possible. Since the plays are almost identical going first or second, I'm going to go ahead and show off the VFD combo so you know what it looks like. Let's just go ahead. Okay, like I said, we need Scrap Raptor and either Scrap Factory or Chimera, so this gives us the combo. So what you want to do is normal summon Scrap Raptor, and use its effect on itself. Away it goes, which activates its effect to let us search. Let's go ahead and get the Scrap Chimera. And now this is like, if you add with the Scrap Chimera already, then you add Scrap Factory. Since we had Factory, we're activating Chimera. Either way, you're going to have both to do this combo. So we activate the Scrap Factory, normal summon Scrap Chimera, and when this is normal summoned, it special summons Scrap Raptor out of the graveyard. Now we've got 2 scraps on the field, which means we can go into our Link 2 Scrap Wyvern. This is an interesting thing. What it does is it can special summon a scrap out of the graveyard, and then you have to destroy a card you control. It really doesn't matter which one you pick, either one, because it's just going to get immediately destroyed. Because its other effect is, if a scrap is destroyed by a card effect, you can summon a scrap from the deck and then pop a card on the field. And unlike the first effect, that can be any card, so this is where you would destroy your opponent's stuff if they had anything. A Scrap Factory also summons a scrap out of the deck when one is destroyed by a card effect, so we're actually going to summon twice at this point. And in both cases, we're going to grab the fridge. This is why this is Fridge Turbo, because this just makes everything. Now, of course, you have to destroy a card on the field. We have an extender that you can destroy to try to save resources. Obviously, if you're going second, you could destroy whatever your opponent controls. In this case, though, I'm going to go ahead and destroy Scrap Factory and lower everything's attack by a little bit, but it's only once per turn anyway, so we're good. So from here, this is where you can do pretty much whatever, because Scrap Golem can once per turn summon a scrap from the graveyard, just for free. So, get out Scrap Raptor, and because it's a tuner, we can now make level 9 synchros. And of course, if you want to, you can also make links with this. If you could also summon back the Scrap Chimera, and you can make level 8 synchros. Although Scrap Chimera says you can only make scrap monsters, so you're pretty much just stuck with Scrap Dragon if you do that. You can also bring back the level 4 and make like a rank 5 and a rank 4. There's a lot of options you can do here. But for the VFD combo, what we're going to do is actually make a rank 9, and we're going to make X-Saber Gotems, because these are all Earth. And when this is summoned, or not when this is summoned, but you can tribute this card to discard a random card from your opponent's hand. Since we're doing a test, our opponent doesn't have one. But, you know, just use your imaginations. You tribute itself, and then your opponent's starting down one card. Then what you do is use the other Scrap Golem, summon back the Scrap Raptor again. Go ahead and put it right here, it doesn't really matter. And then you're going to make Cloud Castle. And when Cloud Castle is summoned, it summons a level 9 monster out of the graveyard. So the Gotems that you tributed, you bring back, and now you have the 2 level 9s that you need to make True King of all Calamities. And again, you know, if you wanted to do this slightly different, you could have ended on it on Appaloosa and like a level 9, a Crocodragon. This has some quick effect disruption. You could have done a couple different things. I'll show you some more combos, but that's the basic one, at least if you're going first. Going second, same thing, you just make different stuff. But yeah, that's pretty much all this deck does. It relies very heavily on Scrap Raptor, which is why we're playing 6 cards to search it. Scrapyard searches any scrap tuner, and Fossil Dig searches any low-level dinosaur, which Scrap Raptor is. That's also why we play the one-of Miscellaneousaurus. You probably noticed this. It can be discarded to make your main playmaker unnegatable. If you already have Scrap Raptor in your opener, then you can search Misk using your Fossil Dig. It's just an alternative target. If you're more ambitious, you might be able to use this alongside a whole dinosaur engine to make the deck even stronger. I couldn't get it to work, but I didn't have very long to test it, to be fair. I did leave a few suggestions, stuff you could add in pretty easily in the side deck, so if you want to experiment with Dino Fridge, there you go. But yeah, that's the main crux of your deck. Get Scraptor, make Wyvern, pop a card, summon Fridges from the deck, revive yo dudes, and then make a whole flock of extra deck monsters. The only real decision you're making is which extra deck monsters to summon, and unfortunately, you are a bit limited in what you can do. Like, we can make rank 5 and 4 Ixies, but only if you've got the full combo, which means it isn't really worth it to play more than one of each rank because of how rare you're going to get it. I went with a few spicy, unexpected choices myself, but honestly, you could replace these with whatever. It's much easier to make links, but you don't really want to do that most of the time, since it's going to use all your resources on one monster, and we don't have a ton of recovery or extension ability. I went with a basic Nightmare package leading up into either Assess Code or Appaloosa, but again, you could play whatever you want. As for our Synchro package, the easiest level we can make is 9, and unfortunately there's not a lot of great level 9 Synchros out there that you can make with just 2 materials, which is partially why I decided to go with the Gotems into Cloud Castle into VFD line. We just had more space. It was either this or like Vermilion Dragon Mech, which is not the greatest playmaker. Your main workhorses are Scrap Twin Dragons, which can pop a card you control in order to return 2 of your opponent's monsters back to the hand, and Ravenous Crocosaur, which gains 500 for every card in your hand, and can discard 2 as a quick effect to pop something your opponent controls. As for the rest, we've got 2 level 8 Synchros, but Scrap Chimera can only make scraps, as I said earlier, so most of the time you're just going to be stuck making Scrap Dragon, unless you can keep Shark on the field somehow. Oh, and Nat Beast is a fun little option you can make from time to time using our most versatile tech card, Turbo Booster. This is a level 1 machine that you can summon from your hand if you normal summoned this turn. It has an effect that doesn't really matter. We're mostly just using it as a free monster, which is actually useful in a whole lot of ways. It plus Scrap Raptor makes Naturia Beast for one. Going first, it's something you can pop with your Wyvern if you want to maintain the rest of your field. You can also use it to make Scrap Wyvern if your opponent pops one of your playmakers. It's good fodder for either of the Scrap Dragons, since you could just destroy it to destroy your opponent's stuff. It's free link material, and if you happen to open with your fridges in hand, you can actually use this to alter the combo to get them out. You just pop the Scrap Raptor as normal, search the field spell, special summon the booster, and then use your extra normal summon on the fridge by tributing the booster. All that being said, you might want to replace it with just another hand trap or some more staples if you're going super serious with this, but if you're looking for an extender, it doesn't get much better than this. Speaking of hand traps and staples though, we're playing more than I usually do, since this engine is small and the archetype is so fragile. Beast King Alpha is a great card for this deck. It's removal, it baits negation, and it adds 3k damage on board when you're trying to OTK. And in a pinch, it actually has some synergy with your other monsters, because many of the scraps are beasts for some reason. Despite clearly looking like machines. But yeah, I'd highly recommend King if you're playing blind second scraps like this. Our other two tech cards, Ghost Bell and Lightning Storm, don't really have any specific synergy. I just played them because graveyard decks and traps are really popular right now, and these two deal with them best. Feel free to replace them with whatever other generic staples you'd like. The remaining cards in here are things I'm not really certain about, and things you probably want to replace if you're trying to add in another engine. We play a lot of extra scrap cards, mostly just as extenders, recovery options, things that let us make Borreload Savage Dragon easier. The two doggos get scraps out of the grave when they're destroyed, which can help recover your raptors or fridges if the game goes grindy. I'm honestly not sure I'd play them if I did this again, though. Scrap Searcher is potentially neat if it's in the graveyard and a scrap is destroyed. You can special summon it. This is not once per turn, so it's just extra free material, but whenever it's summoned, it nukes your field of everything that isn't a scrap monster. The obvious downside of this is that if you're playing Alpha or any generic links, you'll lose them when you summon this. But it does have a funny upside, because you see, Scrap Fridge's effect to summon from the grave can actually summon to either player's field. So you can give them Scrap Searcher, and it'll nuke their field, which is always a fun time. The only real problem is we don't have an easy way to get this into the graveyard. It's not worth running Foolish Burial for this one situational card, and the only scrap that sends to the graveyard is Scrap Shark. This is an emergency backup. If you don't open with Raptor, but you still have your field spell, you can use this to mostly get the same combo off. What it does is, it's a level 4 with 2100 attack, and if a spell, trap, or monster effect is activated, it destroys itself. And when it's destroyed, it Foolish Burials a scrap card from the deck. So what you do is normal summon this, and then activate Scrap Factory. Since a card was activated, Shark explodes, triggering Factory and letting you summon a Scrap Raptor from the deck. This means you won't get your second fridge because you've already triggered the field spell, but you will have Searcher in the graveyard because this will Foolish Burial it when it's destroyed. This will net you some additional link and synchro material to make up for the fact that you don't have Scrap Golem. And if you open with a Shark, Factory, and Turbo Booster, you can actually end on a 3-mat Appaloosa along with Naturia Beast, which is not a bad opening at all. But I digress. All that really leaves is Supply Squad, which is just Upstart Goblin. It's just Upstart Goblin. You draw a card if one of your cards is destroyed, and since you're always going to destroy something, you're always going to get just the next card in your deck. If the duel happens to go into multiple turns, you can gain advantage off of this, but worst case scenario, it's an Upstart, and you can pop it with Wyvern or Scrap Dragon if need be to trigger your effects. But yeah, that's the deck. As I said before, the side deck is mostly just other options, and I'm not really going to go in depth on them because this is already running pretty long. Very briefly though, you can use Scrap Goblin with Howl to do some Link shenanigans. If VFD gets banned, we have a couple other rank 9s, like this plant that negates, or just a ship that gets rid of cards in hand. And then the rest are just a bunch of decent tech cards if you're on a budget. Kaijus instead of Alphin, Twister instead of Lightning Storm, and there's a few scrap cards I didn't really talk about. Some people told me these were really good, I tried them out, didn't really like them, but they're worth looking into. Maybe you can find a combo that I didn't. Also, there's an impermanence here. Either way, though, that's the deck. I hope you liked it. Remember to like the video if you did like it, subscribe if you're not already, and hit that bell if you want to be notified when another one of these comes out. I do them every other Friday like clockwork. Anyway, until next time, good luck and have fun.